Behind every successful person is a very strong support system, right? This is not gender specific. So the world is cruel enough. Home is a place for healing. And when you have a spouse who has the vision and can recognize your talent and give you that environment to polish your talent and really put it to use in serving the world, that those situations are few and far between. And those are very incredible situations. Your career is like a living, breathing organism, and building great careers requires nurturing them with strategic guidance. Hi, my name is Sawan Kapoor, and I'm India's leading career coach, also known as the Career Guy. Welcome to the Career Headquarters. The most comprehensive career podcast on the internet, where I will bring you groundbreaking insights on everything career related. Whether you're seeking a career abroad or wanting to switch industries, whether you are entry level or a mid-career professional or a senior leader, I have seen it all. As an award-winning CEO of one of the largest and most profitable beverage alcohol companies, my career spanned 3 continents, multiple industries, and provided me with an accelerated roadmap to the very top. So if you want to build an exceptional career and 3x your paycheck, this podcast is for you.
Welcome back to another episode of Career Headquarters, the most comprehensive career podcast. Hi Savan, how are you?
I'm very well, Deepa. How are you?
I'm good as well. So today's topic is much debated, almost controversial, and that is work-life balance.
Right.
Is it a dream or is it reality? So how important is it to develop work-life balance? Is it an oxymoron or is it actually something that can be achieved?
Well, it is very important. I think you have to understand that your work is a part of your life and not the other way around. And it is not an oxymoron. It's not easy to do, but it's certainly not an oxymoron. There's a lot of very successful people who live an incredible work-life balance. So first, let's define the terms involved here. Let's make it a little more basic. So you want a big salary, and you also want a lot of professional fulfillment, right? So a big salary is actually an outcome of creating huge value, incredible results. And it comes from being able to solve significant complexity, right? So the big challenges and the big opportunities. And it is a representation of your worth. Professional fulfillment or satisfaction it's an outcome of working on your strengths, your core genius, what you are good at, right? Or what you are great at, what you are predisposed to being exceptional at. And working with people that you admire and respect. Because if you're not in such an environment, the best of you will not come to the forefront. It's also work that needs to create an impact on the world or the scope of what you're working on. And it must lead to growth, right? So these are the 2 basic terms that we're looking at. So these are the 2 sides of the career coin. An exceptional career has these 2 sides, and these forces can be fighting with each other. So the edge of that career coin is your work-life balance. Now, it's not a misnomer or a oxymoron because it can be achieved. The real question here is how and when. See, your time is limited between your personal life and your professional life. We all get the same 24 hours. And the more time you dedicate to your professional life, the less time you have for your personal life. So if you're career driven, then you're missing out on family engagements, on the vacations, the holidays, the moments that you have in your personal life. And if family is a greater priority for you, then it will come at the cost of your career development. So balancing your personal and professional life is a trade-off. And achieving this balance is the art and the science of building a fulfilling and highly rewarding career where salary and impact both are at play. Because what needs to be understood here is that balance is not a fixed entity. It's not a fixed concept. Not only is it different for different people, it also is something that will build over time. It improves over time. So when you work not just in the job but also on the job, that is where balance will improve. Now, things like automation or process design, implementation of systems, technology, all of these things can improve work-life balance. Because see, it cannot be a 24/7 grind. You can't be chained to your desk. Becoming successful is one part of the game, but staying successful is an entirely different ball game. So work-life balance is going to be very critical to long-term success. And that is where your ability to identify those repetitive tasks, those tasks that you can delegate, outsource, those tasks that can migrate from the hard work side to the smart work side, not just for yourself, but even for your team, your entire business, are going to be very, very critical. And you have to look at it from a perspective of your career stage as well, because when you are early in your career, you're single, you're out of college, it is a time of your life where you have the ability to give extraordinary time to your career, right? So you can improve the scale very quickly in that early part. And what I mean by improving the scale, it's the scale at which your job operates, right? So the progression you will make early on will pay dividends massively for the rest of your career. Instead of engaging in, thousands or lakhs, if you can get to crores, of course, that has very meaningful, impact. But the point that I'm trying to make is I'm using monetary terms only to make that point that early progression has a magnifying impact on your career's overall trajectory. The mid stage is where family life comes into play. You're married, you have children, you have a full life at home, taking care of elders, in-laws, parents, attending to the needs of the home. All of that comes into a big play, and that then will require you to prioritize your home also somewhat. If you've not made the home peaceful and supportive, then it will eat into your work life. So it's very critical that by that time you have achieved a certain amount of work-life balance. And then, because that mid-career stage is a make or break stage, it's a very demanding stage, it's the hustle and grind stage, and most people don't know how to navigate their way through that stage. The dots don't connect for most people in that stage, and that's why this is a stage that produces so much discontent. There is so much of midlife crisis happening in this stage, switching industries, job hopping, all of these problems come up in this stage. And then if you look at your senior stage, by then the kids have left home. You're again involved. If you've played the game right, you're involved in a job that requires much more maturity, life wisdom, senior level people interaction, a strategic mindset, and experience in tackling the problems or the opportunities that you're confronted with. But then again, you have the time. What you don't have is the energy. Right? So keeping yourself fit as you age, all of these things become critical to playing the game to the very top. And it again does not happen for everyone, right? So in conclusion, I would say there is no formula here. You understand the parameters at play. You've been dealt a hand of cards. You have to win with that hand of cards that has been dealt to you. So if you can juggle these responsibilities in a manner where you can always keep them within that tolerance range where things aren't blowing up, maybe on your personal front or your professional front, and you can keep playing that juggling game, that juggling act, you will go on to build a very rewarding career and have exceptional work-life balance. And that will keep you very charmed, because it's a beautiful seesaw. It's like getting things done at work will make you enjoy the time that you spend with your family, and having that time with your family will make you want to get back to work with a fury and a drive that people who don't have that may not get back in that manner. So this is a juggling act that is very important, and every working professional has their own take on it. I think the guidelines that I've established here is what has to be kept in mind as you're building this over the course of your career.
Do you think employees can expect their companies to promote work-life balance?
In a nutshell, yes. Companies should actively promote work-life balance because I think it's very important for the long-term growth of the company and the employee. But it's not as simple or as straightforward as that. There is things beyond the surface here. It's deeper, and this is not just about a company being politically correct. It's not just we have to promote work-life balance because otherwise we appear like a villain. I think the way I'd like to answer this question is by bringing up a statement. And the statement says, and I read this on LinkedIn a while back, a salary is a drug a company pays you to forget your own dreams. And I've asked a lot of people, in larger rooms, what their response to this question is, and I get a mixed response. I get some people who agree with it and some people who disagree with it. See, I want you to understand that school or college gives you your hard skills, your technical knowledge, your subject matter expertise. But it does not give you your soft skills as much. Those soft skills are not inculcated in a systematic format. They are left to chance, right? This is what is missing in the formal system of education. So, what needs to be understood here is that your hard skills will only come to life through your soft skills. The computer programming that you have learned, or the chemistry that you've learned, or the mechanical engineering that you've learned, or the business management that you've learned, is going to express itself in how you deal with people in your work environment. So it goes back to your personal development. The greater your personal development, the greater your ability to bring about work-life balance in your life. So, if you look at leaders like a Ratan Tata or an Elon Musk or a Narayan Murthy or an Indra Nui, any of these, any leader was not born a leader. There was a very nice story recently where Ratan Tata did not go for a very important meeting. It was like a board meeting or something because his dog was unwell. Okay. And he took his dog to the vet because that was his commitment and the relationship with his pet. And it's a true story. It was put out by the Tata handle, on one of the social media platforms. And again, any leader was not born as that leader. They became that human being based on how they made decisions, how they tackled, the challenges that showed up, the situations that showed up in their life. See, the ability to make good decisions comes from experience, and experience comes from making bad decisions. Because second-hand learning does not put you through that fear, that doubt, that vulnerability. So, direct experience is a very powerful teacher. And how you respond to failure will determine your capacity for success. So, employment is on-the-job training. You're gaining experience for which you are getting paid. You are getting paid to bring to life your Ratan Tata, your Elon Musk, your Narayan Murthy, your Indra Nui that lives inside you. So not only do I disagree with the statement that a salary is a drug that an employer pays you for you to forget your dreams, it is ultimately your responsibility to get really good at both of these areas of your life, your personal life and your professional life. A company must actively promote work-life balance, respect for an individual's personal time, managing their workload, providing the support and the resources, etc. But that work-life balance also lands up impacting productivity very directly. So a company also benefits if you are more productive, then it's better, for the organization as well. So an improved work-life balance can deliver that. But at the end of the day, you are primarily responsible. The company is also responsible, but it's their secondary responsibility. Indra Nui had a very famous quote. She says, "I'm a mother first, a CEO second, and a wife third." There's a tremendous amount of clarity in this little statement. She was very clear about her priorities. It was her partner, her husband in life that became that support foundation for her to be able to do what she did. Without that husband playing that role, she would not be the Indra Nui that we know today. Behind every successful person is a very strong support system, right? This is not gender specific. So the world is cruel enough. Home is a place for healing. And when you have a spouse who has the vision and can recognize your talent and give you that environment to polish your talent and really put it to use in serving the world, that those situations are few and far between. And those are very incredible situations because, may it be in business or may it be in sports, may it be in journalism, in any field, right? A person with that level of capability deserves a partner, a spouse with that level of vision and that attitude to help bring that gift to life. So she said, I'm a mother first because that is the ultimate outcome in her value system, right? That's why she's building her career to create a better life for her children. Um, Everything else comes second for her, including the stakes at PepsiCo, right? Parents today want to provide a better quality of life. It's different from a generation ago where, if you look at my parents, they were providing a standard of life. Today, we have the opportunity to provide a quality of life. And if you look 2 generations ago, it was a matter of survival. It was putting food on the table. So, the world has changed. So, in conclusion, the company must provide a conducive environment, but you have to take primary responsibility.
Sawan, what are the signs of a toxic work environment? And if a professional unfortunately finds themselves in such a situation, what can they do about it?
Wow, there are many signs. If the company is going through a lot of turnover, a lot of people are leaving, that's an indication. It could be a environmental issue. Cronyism. Everybody who gets hired is from the same pool. Um, there is a structural fear of retribution. People are not speaking up because that is not rewarded. That's punished, in fact. Gossip, office politics rules the day and the environment. Team members are reserved. They keep to themselves. Everybody operates, as far as information is concerned on a need to know basis. Trust is lacking. There's a perception that everybody has an ulterior motive. Intention is not clear. There is no confidence in leadership because the leadership will really set the tone for the entire company. The attitude and how you address situations is inflexible. My way or the highway kind of a operating style. Employees are disengaged. It's about their paycheck and that's it. They're not invested beyond that. There's tension generally in the office, which it'll lower the productivity and the creativity because you don't tap into those areas when you're not challenged and truly involved and engaged in the work that you're doing. The responsibilities and the boundaries are uncertain and unreasonable. The performance management system could be flawed. People who do not have the leadership skills are responsible for others, to lead others. And people like C-level leaders who have the direct responsibility of creating an impact in these areas, they often can struggle with cultural issues, with a toxic work culture. So if one does not have, in their direct scope to be able to correct the culture, it's going to be really hard to do. So in those cases, one has to move on. Because your first responsibility is going to be to yourself. It's going to be to building your own career. But for a lot of people, a paycheck is necessary. So, the game has to be played very smartly. That's where you must create options and you must also recognize that these challenges came into your life for a reason because your growth is only going to happen on that boundary of support and challenge. So, it's like if you're building a muscle, that muscle has to fail for it to grow. So, it's fundamental to understanding why that problem came into your life. Because your response to failure determines your capacity for success. It came in to stretch you so that the next time you face, a toxic work culture or, a difficult environment, you are better prepared to deal with it. And that's how you grow over a period of time. So, you have to treat your time there from a perspective that it's trying to teach you something, because if you don't learn the lesson that life is trying to teach you, then you're going to remain locked in that loop and you won't be able to figure out why you're not able to break through. So I think that's the answer to, what are some of the signs. These signs don't manifest individually. There could be, they'll come together. They could come, a group of these could be happening together in the workplace.
Okay, quite an exhaustive list. So the last 2 years especially, a lot of companies were forced to shift completely to work from home mode. So how do you think this has impacted work-life balance?
I think overall, more negatively than positively, because people have found out it's very hard to create a segregation between their personal and professional lives. Initially, there was a honeymoon period. So, people were very charmed about this. And I think the sale of, study tables and desks went through the roof. But, largely, I mean, if you look at it, the commute got cut out, and boundaries became hard to manage. This virtual world made us work harder. We were spending more time behind our screens. But as a result of that, it was also more difficult to heal misunderstandings and build relationships, because that opportunity to have that camaraderie with the team, the colleagues at the office was just cut out. And businesses that were scaling up, as they take in new employees, that ethos, that spirit was very hard to build for them. And this created more office politics. Office politics was on the rise because of this. And it diluted the work culture, And we can see now that there are a lot of leaders, that are speaking up against this. We've seen Apple has now called employees back to the office. Google has mandated a new policy where at least 3 days people have to be in the office. And these are companies with very large workforces. Narayan Murthy at Infosys is speaking, that this work from home doesn't work. And I think a lot of people felt very isolated also, because that social element is important to productivity. So when that went missing, it had an impact on productivity. I'm sure there are some variations in how introverts took it differently versus extroverts. But overall, I think it was more negative than it was positive. It added to home office costs, right? You need another internet connection, you're supporting furniture, you have to buy supplies, you have to buy all of that. People were overworking. They were really putting in a lot more time, and it was disrupting the quality of life that they would experience. And because of that, overall productivity, I think, was lower than because this backfired. And people got disconnected from the flow of work and the priorities. So I think overall it had a more negative impact than it did a positive impact. But in the honeymoon period, it was like, we can work from anywhere, and this is a much more egalitarian life and all of that. But that didn't last.
And also, a lot of people did not have conducive home environments to work.
Yeah, I mean, if you have kids in the home and young kids at home, then it's really hard, because kids are not going to maintain discipline permanently. They're going to be coming in and out and watching TV. And, a home is, there's clothes are being washed and food is being made and cleaning is happening and all of those things are going on. So it's hard. Yeah. I have young kids, so I know.
All right. So there's this new emerging concept of workations, which is a crossover of work and vacations. So what do you think about this?
It's a very nice concept. I mean, it's a very appealing concept. It's highly marketable, Who doesn't like I'd be sitting in the mountains and,
There are companies based on.
Correct. But again, the execution of this concept needs to be done right. I mean, it's great, but for whom? So the ones who need it the least are the ones who are taking it the most. That's one of the problems here. See, the economy is becoming there's this huge gig economy. And we are looking at trends like the Great Resignation, where everybody wants to be in business for themselves. And there is this utopian dream of how, they will become this self-sufficient little island where they have the freedom in their lives. And at the same time, they also have the advantages of a regular income. Now, young people can be seduced by this very easily, but this has to be built towards, right? So the level of discipline, the work ethic, the reliability, because being good at writing software and being good at getting, clients who require software from you are two very different skills, right? I'm giving an example in the in the IT industry, because this is India and IT is one of the major sectors. But these are two very different skills. So I like the concept, but when it is done as a team and with a responsible leader, I think then it can work. It can do wonders. It can do wonders for morale. It can do wonders for bonding. It can do wonders for learning and productivity, career development, and progress of the business. But if you don't do it with somebody who has that level of personal awareness and discipline, then it is very easy for a young mind to be seduced by this marketing and very quickly get lost in the process. So I think there is an opportunity here for senior leaders to make use of such a thing, because it can be a great tool in your company's HR arsenal to keep people charmed and motivated and driven towards a great outcome and goal.
All right. You've certainly provided some very interesting insights today. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one.
See you soon.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Career Headquarters, the most comprehensive career podcast dedicated to building exceptional careers. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share this with someone you think would benefit from the ideas and the insights shared on this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple, Google, Overcast, Castro, or Breaker. If you want to learn more about building an extraordinary career for yourself, I invite you to come attend my free Power Up Your Career live workshop. In this workshop, I will teach you the step-by-step process of landing your dream job in less than 90 days. The link to register is in the description below, and I will see you live at the workshop.